Alright guys, and welcome back to the Saints View, the channel for Southampton content for our match preview ahead of Saturday's penultimate game of the season, the final away trip of our Premier League campaign. And we have the not too long trip up to East London to face West Ham United at the amazing Olympic Stadium. I think the less said about the London Stadium, the better. But before we get into it, let's just have a little review of last time out, that really entertaining 3-3 draw with Bournemouth. I say entertaining, it would be if you were a neutral. I think if you're a Saints fan, a lot of emotions up and down through the game. So I think at the end of the day, it would have been nice to have won the game, especially because we led twice. But we also came back, so that's something we haven't seen for a while, especially this season if you look on the whole. And look, the point secured safety because of obviously Fulham beating Cardiff, and that was the main thing. That was the main objective, and we're now in a really healthy position where we can just go and enjoy ourselves for the last 2 games. It's a relief, in all honesty, that we've confirmed safety with 2 games to go. Yes, we've said for a couple of weeks now that really we are safe because Cardiff and Brighton have been so appalling. But we had to get the job done, and we have, with 2 games to go. And that first game is, of course, Saturday's trip to West Ham. Now, the last game against West Ham didn't go to plan. I think it was a mixture of games coming quickly, still very poor side that Hasenhüttl had just adopted. West Ham were in decent form as well. Obviously, Anderson probably played his best game for West Ham down at St Mary's back into December. God, that feels like a long time ago. We didn't really deserve anything from that game. Took the lead undeservedly through Redmond with a very strange goal, but then Anderson turned it around for the visitors. So hopefully we can get a little bit of revenge on West Ham next time out. They've got nothing to play for. We're just looking to finish with a bit of pride, finish as high as possible. Honestly, I don't think we'll finish higher than 16th. I think it's probably going to be 16th for us this season, which isn't great, but if you look at the whole of the season, you know, it means we're still in the league and that we have the opportunity to do what really we could do under Hasenhüttl for next season. But if we have a little look into West Ham United, very mixed season, I think, for them as an outsider, of course, but I think overall positive, especially when you look at their last 2 seasons. There's been a lot of negativity surrounding the club, especially with the stadium move, the results not being good enough, especially at home. Obviously, you can even argue back to when they first opened the London Stadium, how they got knocked out of Europe straight away to, I don't even know where that team was from, the famous Astra Gugu. And as an outsider, it seems that this year it's been a lot more stable. You know, Maurizio Pellegrini's come in and it's sort of steadied the ship a little bit. Personally, I expected West Ham to be challenging for Europe a bit more than they have. There have been times where they've been close, but towards the back end of the season, you know, they've sort of drifted away a little bit and they've sort of looked like they're on the beach. But it's been very possible with all these teams, sort of, you look from Wolves down to sort of Everton, Watford, all of them, when they haven't been winning, West Ham have had a perfect opportunity to close the gap, but it just seems like something mentally has gone wrong, which happens, I guess. Now it looks like Wolves are going to take that 7th spot, but it's definitely in contention for West Ham next year if they have another strong summer, which they did last year, and I think that's why the expectation was quite high, especially with the calibre of manager that they brought in Pellegrini. He won the Premier League with Man City a couple of years ago. But overall, as an outsider, it seems like it's been an alright season. It looks like they'll finish in the top half, West Ham, so well, I think it'll be a big summer for them. Obviously, Arnautovic is a really good player. I like him as a player. As a person, I think he's an absolute knob. But we don't need to go into that because I'm sure West Ham fans share the same viewpoint as I do. And he's got a tendency to score a couple of goals against Saints, as we saw in the same fixture last season, that dreadful showing in Mark Hughes' first league game, which is probably why I'm not going this year. Now, I don't think I've actually missed a Southampton game since Burnley, which is the beginning of February, so it's my best ever streak for probably ever, if not a very long time, going home and away so much over the last, almost 3 months now. Yeah, I did London Stadium last year. We were shocking, but the stadium is appalling. No offence to West Ham fans. I'm not trying to have a dig at your club. I think quite a lot of the fan base agree with me, but you hear the same thing from the away fans and even some fans in the home end. It's so far away from the pitch. Like you're just not near any atmosphere, because in the away end the two tiers are separate and with this massive like tarpaulin sheet, and it's like what's the point? What's the point? You can't create any atmosphere. I mean, it didn't help that we were abysmal 3-0 down at half time last year, but the stadium is brilliant for running. I've heard loads of good things. I had plenty of people went there for the Olympics, really good for running. For football, we're still having this conversation, it's not a football stadium. Especially when you see like Dunkin' Donuts stands outside and like, obviously not that, but not great. But I never went to Upton Park, so I can't really compare it. But I think it'll be a good game. Two sides who aren't really playing for much. Maybe focus drifts a little bit, which could contribute into the idea that it's an entertaining game with plenty of goals. You definitely saw a bit of that on Saturday with our 3-3 draw against Bournemouth. We could have even lost it at the end. So I'm just hoping for some points. I think now it's got to a point where I just want next season. And I think a lot of fans are like that. Now that we've confirmed safety, there's not much more we can do except for finish as high as possible. Like I said earlier in the video, I don't think we're going to be finishing higher than 16th. I think it's pretty much dead on 16th for us. Brighton 17th, Cardiff 18th. So just go out on a high. Do whatever we need to do. There's been talk of potentially putting in a few more youngsters, giving them a chance in the team. You know, you look at Slattery, he's had a few appearances here and there, but hasn't really had the minutes necessary to make an impact. Maybe we could see him, but then with the under-23 playoffs coming up next week, that's probably something that Reddy Jaidi will want to keep him for. So, I've got no clue what to expect for this one. I expect West Ham to try and put in a good performance to close off their season. Obviously, it's their last home game for them. And so for us, I think we just give them a good game, see what we can get out of it. If we lose, it's not the end of the world. I just think we need to just have a go. Because we got Huddersfield at home on the last day. I mean, I'll be gutted if we don't win that one. I mean, yes, you can argue Huddersfield will go for it because it's their last game. But honestly, probably the worst, if not definitely one of the worst sides in Premier League history. If we don't beat them at home, I mean, I'll be shocked. But let's not get into that. This is the West Ham preview, not the Huddersfield one. I'm going to wrap it up there because it feels like I'm waffling a little bit now. I think it'll be an entertaining game, and that's why I've gone for a 2-2 draw. I think Redmond will score in this one. I'm hoping to see some fringe players come in, maybe academy players. Not ones who would make their debut, but ones who've been in and out over this season. You know, your Torreki Johnsons, your Marcus Barnes, Callum Slattery, like I mentioned before. Seeing players like that, but I can't see that happening only because the under-23s do now have this playoff after finishing second in Premier League 2. I think that's how it works. They've got the playoff against Villa at home. So good luck to them, obviously. I think we just finished on a high now. So thank you very much for watching. Let us know your score predictions in the comments section below. Do you really care about this game now that we're coming to the end of the season, or are you just looking forward to the end so we can write off this season and look ahead to a very, very promising one under Ralph Hasenhüttl? Remember to like the video if you have enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't yet already, and we will see you very soon.